Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the RoundUp podcast. I'm Jack.
And I'm RJ,
Yo, and today we're back. Today we're not going to talk a lot of college football because Pat's not here, but we're going to talk a ton of NFL, a little bit of NBA in light of the Karl Anthony Towns to New York trade. That's a huge trade. But yeah, we're going to talk a lot of NFL. We got Monday Night Football tonight. Titans at Dolphins. Can the Dolphins get this offense going against a struggling Titans team? They're 0-3. Tyler Huntley's coming in to start tonight, his first start as a Dolphin. Can he keep this team afloat as a playoff team until Tua comes back? Can he ignite this offense?
Well, I think they're going to win tonight. They're at home, and I think Tyreek Hill's going to bounce back. He's too talented. Yes, obviously Tua is much more talented than Tyler Huntley, but, I mean, a guy like Tyreek Hill is like generational talent. Like, he's not going to have two bad games in a row, so I think he's going to bounce back tonight against that weakness Titans defense. I mean, I don't think their defense is, elite. They're, in the middle of the pack. But, I don't think their secondary is, crazy good. So, I mean, I got Miami winning this game tonight at home. I mean, I don't see how the Titans win. I mean, if Tony Pollard runs the ball pretty well, then maybe. But, Will Levis is so bad.
Yeah.
How can they score? You're not going to beat Miami scoring 10 to 14 points.
That's what I'm saying.
So
even without Tua, this is an explosive offense.
Yeah.
And Tyler Huntley can add some dynamics to it. He can, extend plays. Tua can't extend plays at all, and that's the next level of the Miami offense. Obviously, Huntley's not going to be as accurate, as precise as Tua. That's what Tua is, and that's why he's perfect for this offense. But at the same time, the offense kind of crumbles once Tua goes through his reads. He can't get out of the pocket. He can't be athletic. That's exactly what Tyler Huntley does. So that's a completely new dynamic that Tyler Huntley can kind of add to this offense. I like the Dolphins. The Titans are a mess. And, yeah, I think Huntley can kind of find success. I think if anyone can find success in an offense, it's going to be in the McDaniel offense. So I think Huntley's good. We saw him execute the Ravens offense pretty good. Like I said, just because he can move, I like him.
Well, I mean, Tyler Huntley's he has experience too. He's not like some bum, you know what I mean?
Exactly. We know he can win games. He won a big game against the Packers a few years ago, late in the year. I think that was the 2021-22 season. He kind of kept the Ravens season alive a little bit, gave him some hope. So hopefully he can do that for the Dolphins, keep the season afloat. Injury-wise, for the Titans, Jeffrey Simmons is doubtful on the defensive line. L'Jarius Sneed and Amani Hooker questionable in the secondary. For the Dolphins, Tua is out, obviously. Huntley will start. Left tackle, Teron Armstead is out, which is rough for Huntley in the offense. Defensively, Chubb remains out, and Kendall Fuller's out tonight. Yeah.
Oh, well, Jarius needs a very good corner, but if he's out, forget about it. Tyreek Hill's every game.
I think the most important part of this game is that Huntley can do things in this offense, and Levis in this offense does not look good. So I'm taking the Dolphins.
Oh, I agree. I think the Dolphins win tonight, too, if I'm being honest. I mean, I don't see the Titans score any points, so I'm taking the Dolphins. I think they bounce back this week.
Honestly, I completely agree. The Seahawks are 3-0 after 3 uninspiring wins against mediocre teams. Can Geno and Seattle, can they legitimize this start? Going into Detroit on primetime, a banged-up front seven on defense, and can they make a statement win on the road to improve to 4-0?
This is my thing with the Seahawks and Lions. Everyone thinks the Seahawks have the Lions number, and I completely disagree. I think this is a new season. I think the Lions are a much better team than Seattle at this standpoint. Seattle really hasn't played anybody, in my opinion. They put a hurt Dolphins team. They beat the Patriots by the skin of their teeth, and they beat who was the other team they beat?
The Seahawks beat the Patriots, the Broncos.
The Broncos. Sorry, the Broncos.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. They beat the Broncos also, and the Broncos are not. They won 2 in a row, which we'll get to later. But I mean, they're not good. So who has the Seahawks beat? And I like this. They're my second favorite team. But who have they beat? I think Detroit absolutely destroys them tonight, for being honest.
I agree. I don't necessarily know how, I don't know if they're going to destroy them. What I will say is that, yeah, the Seahawks are 3-0, but it's 3 uninspiring wins. The Lions, both of these teams are banged up. That's the thing for me, and I just think the Seahawks are too banged up. George Fant and Abraham Lucas, both of their right tackles, first string and second string, are out. So third string, Stone Forsythe is going to start, number 78. He'll start opposite Hutchinson. Hutchinson had 4 sacks against Tampa's backup right tackle last week, and 5 of Hutchinson's 6.5 sacks have come on the right side. So that matchup with Forsyth is going to be huge tonight. Walker, he's banged up, but he's back. Most importantly, though, for me, Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams, and Uchenna Nwosu are all out and injured tonight for the defensive front. And linebacker Boye Mafe, he's also out. Linebacker Jerome Baker, he's questionable. So the Seahawks front 7 on defense is decimated. And I think that the Lions are just going to run the football on them, and that's going to open play action up. And, yeah, the Lions are a really good offense. I'm not worried about them tonight. They are a little bit injured defensively, but I'm way more worried about the Seahawks' injuries. But long-term, though, we can talk about it a little bit. Defensive end Marcus Davenport, they've lost him for the season. That's a bad blow to their pass rush to help Aiden Hutchinson. Center Frank Ragnow, he's also out tonight. Linebacker Derek Barnes tonight, he's also on IR and out tonight. He could help rush the passer with Hutchinson, but yeah, they're decimated, and Branch is also doubtful in the secondary. But I don't care. I'm taking the Lions. Seahawks are way more decimated. I think the Lions have way more firepower on offense. Give me the Lions.
I agree. I think the Lions beat this team by 2 touchdowns tonight.
Really?
Yeah, I do. And I like the Seahawks too, but I think this is – I'm not going to call it a trap game, but I think this is one of those games that the Seahawks really haven't played anybody good yet, and I think they just get smoked.
Yeah, I completely agree. 3 wins, 3-0, but against the Broncos, the Patriots, and
they beat Miami.
And yeah, the Broncos, the Patriots, and the Dolphins without Tua. Not inspiring at all. Those are 3 very mediocre, if even, teams. It's not a legit 3-0.
Well, one thing, we'll see how legit Geno Smith is tonight. That's for sure. I'm not a Geno Smith fan at all. I think he's terrible. But people think he's mid. Some people think he's good.
I think he's mid.
He's not someone who's going to bring you over the top. And I want to prove my point tonight. This game right here has playoff aspirations. I know it's week 4. I understand that. But this game right here can determine a lot tonight. Both of these teams are good. Both of these teams can make a point. I mean, I'm not going to say the Seahawks make a playoff run, but if the Seahawks do win this game, hey, who knows? They can definitely make the playoffs, especially with all the injuries the Niners have. Yeah. So I'm trying to, it's a big game for both teams.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, I want Seattle to win, but I just don't think they will. So.
Absolutely. Like I said, I think the Seahawks front 7 on defense is just way too banged up to compete with this Lions offense. I think the Lions win by at least a touchdown. But I'm not going to say it's going to be a blowout.
10-14, I got them winning by.
Okay.
Maybe
right.
17.
All right.
I think they beat them by a good amount.
30-20, something like that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Another undefeated team is the Vikings at 4-0. Are they Super Bowl contenders?
Yes, they are. And I'm going to explain why to you. They have a top 5 defensive coordinator in Brian Flores. Okay? You get Kevin O'Connell as your head coach right now, doing an amazing job. You got Sam Darnold getting everyone involved in that offense. Aaron Jones is having one of his best seasons in a long time this year. Sam Darnold's MVP in the NFL right now, which we'll get to later. I don't see how you say they're not Super Bowl contenders right now. They just went into Green Bay. And the scoreboard made it look like it was close, but those are garbage points. They destroyed them. They really destroyed them for 3 quarters. So, I mean, that's an impressive win.
What I'll say is that the Vikings offense came out really hot, and the Packers simultaneously killed themselves early.
Yeah.
The penalties, they missed 2 field goals. Jordan Love threw 2 first-half picks, trying to dig them out of that 14-0 hole that the Vikings put them in the first quarter. But, yeah, they're 4-0 with wins against very legit teams, the 49ers, the Texans, and the Packers. What I will say, though, is that the Texans, and Laramie Tunsil leads the league in penalties with 9 right now. The Texans, it was really bad to watch. The Texans, similar to the Packers, I mean, both the Texans and the Packers against the Vikings killed themselves with penalties. The Vikings, I dare I say it, they've gotten pretty lucky. However, Darnold, he looks good in this Kevin O'Connell offense. These weapons are uber talented. Jordan Addison and Jefferson, they've also got Hawkinson. A good offensive line, a good rushing attack with Aaron Jones. You can't argue too much with the 69% completion percentage, 11 touchdowns, 3 picks, 4-0 against 3 teams that are really, really good. But, I mean, the 49ers were missing McCaffrey. The Packers and the Texans both killed themselves with early penalties, and they were basically asking the Vikings to win it. And, yeah, Sam Darnold, he's looked good. His stats are really good. He's looked comfortable in this really well-built offense. But I don't think he's shown me anything to put the Vikings way too over the top. I don't think they've faced much adversity at all. I think they've come out hot in games, which obviously is a good thing, but against opponents who've killed themselves with penalties and just missed field goals and just unserious football early in the season. So I'm going to wait on this Vikings team. I'm putting them at number one in the power rankings in the entire NFL, maybe, definitely the NFC right now, because you just can't not. But they play the Jets on Sunday morning. They play the Lions next week after that. I think if they win both of those games, or at least win one of them and look competitive in both, that's really inspiring for them. And then they play the Rams and the Colts and the Jags and the Titans and the Bears, who they should win a few games out of. But I don't know. I'm a little bit... when I watched the Vikings games against the Texans and the Packers, I was like, wow, Darnold looks really good. Yeah, sure. But, this is against two teams that really killed themselves with penalties. And the 49ers, they didn't have McCaffrey. We know the 49ers take a few weeks out of the year where all their stars simultaneously get injured and they lose a bunch of games. So I'm going to wait a little bit on the Vikings. We'll come back to them. If they beat the Jets, the Jets are not playing very well right now, but that's a good win.
Well, let me ask something before we move on from the Vikings. You said they played Green Bay. Who do they play this week, you said?
Green Bay.
Again?
They play the Jets next week in London.
They play the Jets next week, and then week 6 they play Green Bay?
The Lions.
The Lions?
So if they
gotta go they're gonna beat the Jets, okay? They're definitely beating the Jets. I'm sorry, the Jets are terrible, which we'll get to later, okay? Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson do not connect at all. His favorite wide receiver is Allen Lazard, okay? I don't know how you don't connect with your superstar wide receiver in Garrett Wilson. He's very talented, and they don't use him correctly. But I'll get to that later.
Yeah, I'm out on the Jets, by the way. I'll throw that in.
Oh, yeah, I am too. But disappointed enough. But, what you just said, the Vikings are going to be 5-0 after this week. They're not losing to the Jets, okay? With that Brian Flores defense, they're going to absolutely destroy Aaron Rodgers, all right? And then, yeah, they got to play Detroit. That should be a tough game for them, But, you said the Vikings got to play the Jaguars, the Titans, the Colts, the Bears. Like, they could get 11 to 12 wins with that schedule, the way you're telling me. The way they're playing right now, if they keep it up. Because I think they'll keep it up with Brian Flores as our defensive coordinator. So,
yeah, no, Brian Flores is doing a great job. One thing is, people are saying that Brian Flores should be the Jacksonville's head coach next year. I disagree. I don't know why you would want to bring Brian Flores as your head coach in after what happened in Miami. But yeah, he's a great defensive coordinator. I also don't think that's what the Jags need, is the defensive guy necessarily. I think they need to focus on offense, even if their defense is also a mess. That comes from the head coach down. But yeah, Brian Flores, great job in Minnesota as the defensive coordinator. Just don't know if you want him as the head coach.
Let me add something real quick. Everyone from the Belichick coaching tree, when they become head coach, they're not a good head coach. Josh McDaniels, terrible. Terrible head coach. Bill O'Brien, not the best head coach in the NFL. Great college football coach. But NFL head coach, no. Then you get Brian Flores in Miami. That didn't really go as promised. Everyone from the Belichick coaching tree is not good as a head coach.
Joe Judge.
He was terrible. Oh, my God. The Giants, horrible.
Matt Patricia.
Forgot about him. Yeah, keep naming guys for me. I prove my point here?
We don't need to. Your point is
do I prove my point, though?
Mm-hmm.
So,
absolutely.
Why would Brian Flores be a head coach? Why? You're arguably the best defensive coordinator in the NFL right now, behind Steve Spagnuolo for the Chiefs. All right? There's no reason for you to leave to coach Jacksonville. You're not going to go anywhere with Jacksonville anyways. No, not division. So, I don't know. I think he should stay. Defensive coordinator, you're doing an amazing job. You're building your reputation. And you have a chance to make some noise with this Vikings team. So, why don't you leave?
The last thing I'll say about the Vikings, I just want to make my point clear. I love how Darnold's looked in this Kevin O'Connell offense with these weapons, behind this line, with this running game. But I want to see more. And I love what Brian Flores has done on defense. But I want to see them beat a team who doesn't kill themselves with penalties early in the game, like the Texans and the Packers did. Or I want to see them beat a team like the 49ers with McCaffrey, not without him. But regardless, they're 4-0.
Well, I'm not going to discredit their wins.
I'm not trying to, but it's like...
Yeah, but this is the thing. Is it the Vikings' fault that Jordan Love threw 2 picks yesterday? That's great defense.
Well,
that's on him. He made bad decisions.
Well, what happened was, wait, how many picks did he throw first?
I think it was 2.
4. I think it was 4. Yeah.
Yesterday.
4 touchdowns, 3 picks. Okay.
3 picks.
But the thing is so the Vikings came down the field, they scored.
Yeah.
The Packers went down the field, they missed the field goal, so it's 7-0. The Vikings go down the field and they score. And now it's 14-0, and the Packers have missed the field goal. So Love's like, all right, it's first quarter. I gotta dig ourselves out of a hole. He throws a pick when he forces it. All of a sudden, it's 21-0. I mean, that's a dominant win by the Vikings, a dominant start by the Vikings. That's how you want to start. But you're relying on missed field goals, and I didn't mention how bad the penalties were.
How bad were the penalties?
A lot. Devontae Wyatt got a few.
No, I'm saying in the game total. How many penalty yards?
It wasn't as bad as the Texans one, but overall.
What were the penalty yards in that game?
The Packers had 8 for 68. The Vikings had 7 for 55. But I'm just talking about the early collapse specifically. And then the Texans had 11 penalties for over 100 yards. Which, I mean, that's the issue with the.
Most of it was holding.
Yeah, I know. So Stroud or Love would have a good play called back for a hold, or Darnold would have a pass interference called, and all of a sudden they're on the opposite side of the field. So it's penalties. I want to see the Vikings win without a penalty discrepancy early on. That's what I want to see.
Well, the Vikings don't have a challenge till week 6 because listen.
Hey, if they go 5-0 and I'm impressed by their win against the Jets, I'm not going to be this harsh on them. I just want to see one more.
They're going to beat the Jets. I promise you that. The Jets are not good. They're not.
Then they play the Lions, and as long as they look competitive in that, I'm not too worried if they win that at 5-1.
Oh, if they win that, then you got to admit.
Well, yeah, they'd be 6-0.
So, I mean.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's very hard to go 4-0 in football, so that's all I wanted to add real quick. But
all right, moving on.
Are the Chiefs the runaway favorites in the AFC?
Well, we can kind of couple this. I want to talk about the Bills-Ravens game last night real quick.
Okay.
And that'll kind of couple into, who is the second team. Because the Chiefs, they are the runaway best team in the league. Or they are the best runaway team in the AFC right now.
In the league.
Yeah. But
they always
talk
find
about
a way.
The AFC. Who's the second team? Is it the Ravens? Is it the Texans? Is it the Bills? Well, looking at the Ravens-Bills game last night, the Ravens killed the Bills, but the Bills were 3-0, the Ravens were 1-2.
That was a trap game.
If the Ravens lose that game, they're looked at as out of the playoff race for a bit. If the Bills win that game, they're looked at the best team in the league. So it's tough.
The Bills are the second best team still. Let me explain to you why.
Okay.
Number 1, that game was in Baltimore. Number 2, Baltimore had 3 games. They blew this year. Luckily, they won 1. Okay? They choked the Chiefs game. You had 2 guys in the end zone. You had Zay Flowers wide open and Isaiah Likely wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're talking about a new narrative. Okay? Then they lost. They beat the Cowboys. But the Cowboys almost came back and won that game. You got to remember, it was 28-6, I think it was 28-6. And I think the final score was 31-28, something like that. And so that's another thing I wanted to add real quick. The Ravens been struggling closing out games. And I forget the other team they lost to, but they almost blew out. Oh, the Raiders. They had a 24-14 lead in the fourth quarter, and they lost. So, they weren't going to lose this game versus Buffalo, And I should have knew that. I picked Buffalo last night because they've been hot. But I should have knew that Baltimore had a lot to play for. You know?
Exactly.
And Jim Harbaugh's job would have been, I'm not going to say in jeopardy, but it would have been some concerns.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't losing that game. Derrick Henry, especially the way he played last night, he wasn't losing that game.
No.
So, Buffalo's still the second best team.
Okay. I want to just first say that I'm not worried about Buffalo.
No, I'm not either.
When the Ravens run the ball really well, teams don't really stop them. That's exactly what the Raiders did with their really good defense. I mean, the Raiders, they have a good defense. They have Max Crosby in that front seven. They could stop the run. The Ravens, when they run the football, especially with Derrick Henry now, teams aren't going to beat them because that's their dominance, and that opens everything up for Lamar Jackson to just pass. Derrick Henry last night, first play from scrimmage on the Ravens offensively, he runs for an 87-yard touchdown. Okay, so the Bills come out. They have a little bit of a rough offensive drive. They're 3-0. It's bound to happen against a really good team. And Derrick Henry runs for an 87-yard touchdown. At that point, it's rough to come back. It's really rough for the Bills to come back. and they didn't play their best football last night. The Ravens were able to stop their run game. They were able to, shut down most of the receivers. And hey, that's just what the Ravens do best: is they play defense and they run the football, and that opens up Lamar to kill people. That's how it goes. And I'm not worried about the Bills.
Like I told you, man, the Bills. Yeah, they lost last night, but it's kind of was a trap game the way it looks. I mean, Baltimore had too much to play for.
Exactly.
That game was in Baltimore, so it's kind of like I kind of give Buffalo a pass.
You got to. You have to. But yeah, the Chiefs, are they the runaway favorites in the AFC right now? They have to be.
Of course they are.
They have to be. They're the only complete team, the only team 4-0 in the AFC, and they're the only team that has an identity.
They're the only team that always finds a way. Always find a way. Because they could be 2-2 right now.
No.
Honestly.
And they have an identity of just, how they move the football downfield. The Ravens, they have their identity that they're still trying to set. They know what their identity should be. It's a team that runs the football and builds everything off of that. But they haven't been able to run the football consistently. Last night they did. That's the team they have to be. If they're going to be that team, then they're the second best team in the AFC. But the Bills, that's, like you said, Baltimore had too much to play for last night. And that's not the best and most accurate representation of the Buffalo Bills we saw last night.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
They weren't motivated to be there. I don't know. It didn't seem like it.
A team that I think we can kind of count out for now is the second best team in the AFC is the Texans.
Yes.
They can't establish a run game, which they desperately need. Their offensive line and Laramie Tunsil, like I mentioned about that Vikings game, they killed themselves with penalties. They should have been in that game. Stroud was balling, but they couldn't run the football effectively, and penalties kept holding them back. And the offensive line's not doing their job right now overall. So, yeah, the Texans, they need that to get better before they, enter that conversation with the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Ravens, the lead of the AFC. Jacksonville, what is wrong? Do they need a coaching change, a quarterback change? What I'll say is it's not a quarterback change. What we saw from Trevor Lawrence in 2022 was elite quarterback play for the most part. Let me pull up the stats real quick. Yeah, 2022, Lawrence threw 25 touchdowns, 8 picks. And the year before that, it was brutal. And the year after that, there was a notable fall off. They started really good last year, but ever since their really good start, didn't they start 8-3 last year?
I said they'll be the number one seed in the AFC before the season started.
And they started 8-3 last year, right?
8-3, and then they lost everyone.
And now they're 0-10 since. 1-10 since.
Yeah, something like that.
It's one of those. Doug Peterson needs to go. Press Taylor needs to go.
Yeah, they all need to go.
The way they used Calvin Ridley last year was just evidence of how bad they are. They spent a first-round pick on ETN. They haven't been able to establish an identity as a team who can run the football, let alone run the football at a really good level. Trevor Lawrence, he's not perfect. Absolutely not. He's not the prospect he was hyped up to be. He was hyped up to be like a Mahomes. He's not.
Not even close.
But he's a top 10 quarterback in the league when he's surrounded right. And he proved that in 2022. But, there's issues in Jacksonville. Doug Peterson needs to go. He's carried by talent. Doug Peterson and Press Taylor, they need to go. And the defensive coordinator also needs to go. They need a coaching change from top to bottom. You can tell. Because this is a team that has talent on both sides of the football. But they can't do anything on either side of the football. They get blown out when they play a good team on both sides of the ball. So, similar to how the Cowboys are when they play really good teams. This is a poorly coached, poorly managed team from top to bottom. Trent Baalke needs to go. Doug Peterson needs to go. They need to sell the team. Trevor Lawrence isn't doing great with what he has, but they've ruined him.
Yeah.
Are the Commanders the best team in the NFC East?
Let me answer this one real quick. Yes, right now they are. They are. This kid, Jane Daniels, is special.
Special.
And they have a great running attack with Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler when he comes back. You have good wide receivers. You have a veteran tight end. The O-line been pretty solid. The defense been getting better every week too. So yes, they are the best team in the NFC East right now.
I completely agree. They're a contender in the NFC from what we've seen, and they're the best team in the NFC East.
Better than the Cowboys.
Absolutely, the Cowboys are an embarrassment, but we'll get to that a little bit in a few minutes. But what I will say is the Commanders have played the Giants, the Bengals, and the Cardinals. They played the Bucs week 1, but yeah, in the past 2 weeks they've played the Bengals and the Cardinals. Dropped 40 points on both. Jaden Daniels is absolutely elite. He's special. But what I will say is that the Bengals and the Cardinals are among the league's worst defenses.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to see Jaden Daniels ball against the Browns on Sunday, and then follow that up with a decent performance against the Ravens. These are two really good defenses that he's going to be tested with in the Browns and the Ravens. Can he replicate his performance or at least become close to it? The way he played against the Cardinals and the Cardinals and the Bengals, who, like I said, are two of the worst defenses in the league. Can he do that against two of the best in the Browns and the Ravens? We'll see. That's going to be huge before he plays the Panthers after that. If he can get through these next 2 weeks, he's going to be mentioned in the top 5 to top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL if he can get through these next 2 weeks against the Browns and the Ravens.
Oh, yeah. Still early, so.
Yeah.
He's been balling, though, so I got to give him his props. He's been playing well.
But, the way he played against the Bengals and Cardinals, he looked like a top 5 QB in the league. But, yeah, those are among the worst defenses in the NFL. So I want to see him do it against the Browns and the Ravens, who are two of the best. Another question I have, how bad do the Cowboys have to perform for Jerry Jones to pull the trigger and fire Mike McCarthy?
They can lose 49-0. They still wouldn't fire him. I'm convinced already with this team. They're not going to fire him.
If they lose to the Steelers on Sunday night in Pittsburgh,
they won't fire him.
They fall to 2-3 after 3 good regular seasons but terrible, miserable playoff performances. I think if you lose to the Steelers,
good though.
Okay, even if the Cowboys win against the Steelers, if they drop a game to the Lions the next week, then they have a bye. If they drop that one to the 49ers, is it time to fire McCarthy?
They're not going to. See, this is the thing. Mike McCarthy should have been fired after that playoff game.
He should have.
But they haven't fired him yet. They're not going to fire him, okay? Him and Jerry Jones have a good relationship. I hate to break it to you if you're a diehard Cowboys fan, but I told you they can lose 49-0. They still want to fire this guy. I don't know why. Should have been fired after the playoffs last year.
But we haven't had a bad regular season under Mike McCarthy with a healthy Dak Prescott. If we have a bad regular season, if the regular season starts to fall away and, we're 3-5 or something, and it's very possible because we have a rough schedule, Mike McCarthy has to go. If the regular season falls apart, he's going to have to pull the trigger.
This is the thing. They have so much talent. He's not a good head coach in the first place. He's awful. He's probably a bottom 5 coach in the league, for being honest. But, I just don't see him firing McCarthy. Jerry Jones doesn't care about the team's success. He doesn't care. He wants his money. That's all he cares about, is fans showing up to the game.
But if the regular season starts to fall apart and fans don't want to come,
that's a different ballgame.
We play the Steelers, the Lions, the Niners, the Falcons, the Eagles, and the Texans. If we drop 4 of those, we very well could.
You're losing 4 of those.
If we lose 4 of those and we end up 4-6,
guess what's going to
Mike
happen?
McCarthy needs to go.
Well, I hope so.
He's going to go. Because a regular season hasn't fallen apart under Mike McCarthy with a healthy Dak like this.
If I'll be honest with you, you might want them to lose just so he's gone.
Oh, of course I do. I'm praying that we lose to the Steelers on Sunday and Mike McCarthy loses his job.
Yeah,
But no matter what happens against the Steelers, I don't think it happens yet. But if we lose to the Lions and the Niners, then it's got to happen. And if we lose to the Falcons or the Eagles, it's got to happen. And then we play the Texans and the thriving Commanders.
You guys got a tough schedule.
We've got a tough 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games ahead of us.
You might go 2-5 in those games, honestly.
That's what I'm saying. If we don't win 4 of those games, I want Mike McCarthy gone. If we don't win 3 of those games, if Mike McCarthy's not gone, then there needs to be riots in the street of Dallas. Peaceful riots, but Mike McCarthy needs to go, and I'll leave it at that. But a similar question that kind of feeds off of it is, how far do the Eagles have to fall for Nick Sirianni to be fired?
Oh, he's horrible.
He's horrible.
He's one of the worst in-game coaches, okay? You have a 4th and 3, I think it was on the Tampa's 10 or something. Kick the field goal. But I'm trying to remember all these game situations. He goes for it way too much, and he's not successful, okay? And when you're not successful going for it on 4th down, it's going to hurt your kicker stock, Jake Elliott. He must be a little frustrated. He's there to kick football for a reason, and you get 3 points. He's probably one of the best kickers in football. And it actually cost him a game this year. Nick Sirianni loves to go for it way too much, and the other thing is he puts Jalen Hurts in very bad positions. He's turning the ball over way too much. He's making Jalen Hurts run too much. You have Saquon Barkley in the bar and Kenneth Gainwell in the backfield. Why is Jalen Hurts running the football? Why? There's no reason for it. Literally no reason for it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really brutal in Jacksonville, Dallas, and Philadelphia if you're a fan of any of those teams. Terrible head coaches.
Yeah.
They need to go. We'll talk about the NFL a little bit more, but I want to talk about the Carl Anthony Towns trade to the Knicks. Does this make them contenders? Can they compete with the Celtics now?
Yes, and I'll tell you why they can compete with the Celtics. They finally got their big man, their stretch five, who can space the floor and shoot, because the Celtics' big men all can shoot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now they got that, because they used to have Rando and Robinson, and neither of those guys can shoot. So now you have Cat at the 5. They're probably going to start Hart, Brunson, OG, Markel Bridges. They're going to go small ball.
Brunson will start the 1. Cat will start the 5.
Yeah.
Hart, Anunoby, and Bridges will start on the wings.
Well,
right?
yeah, I'm just naming guys who possibly going to start. Yeah. And then off the bench, you get
McBride and Robinson.
And you got Burks too, right? Don't they have Burks?
No,
still?
they don't.
They don't have any more?
They don't. They have Tyler. So they have their 5, and then they have McBride and Mitchell Robinson. That's a great 7. Who's going to be the 8th? Is Precious Achua, is he good enough to be an 8th man?
Oh, hell no. Hell no, he's not good enough to be an 8th man. No, he stinks.
Landry Shamet and Tyler Kolek. They can make noise. Jericho Sims is a guy who can come off the bench.
Those guys don't see. If you're going to have those type of guys off the bench, you're not going to compete with the Celtics or Nuggets or Mavericks or whatever. But, hey, if that starting 5 plays 35, 40 minutes a night, which Tom Thibodeau does, they can make some noise.
That starting 5 is ridiculous.
Oh, yes.
Ridiculous.
Top 3 in the league.
Ridiculous.
I don't think he's better than the Celtics starting 5, but I mean, the way we're looking at it is pretty close. It's pretty close.
And I love the Cat trade because Dante DiVincenzo, he's the sacrificial lamb. I mean, the chemistry is still going to be really good. And, yeah, would the chemistry have been insane? Would it have been their dream to play together? Sure. But were they a legit championship contender with DiVincenzo? No, they weren't. Karl Anthony Towns, all of a sudden, one injury to the Celtics, and this Knicks team is the favorite in the East.
Yeah, definitely. There's no one else who could. I mean,
so how can you?
I'm not going to count Miami with Jimmy Butler coming back. The Bucks, they've been struggling. But I want to see Damian Giannis healthy. I want to see what they can do. The Sixers, I want to see what they can do with Paul George. But they find a way to choke every year. So it's like, I mean, Paul George is not a winner too. So it's like, I don't know. It's kind of tough. I think the Knicks can give the Celtics a 6-game series if they play them because they can stretch to 4 against them.
Check your phone because I'm recording on it right now. McCaffrey, there's a notification about him. Something about tendinitis. Looks like they've confirmed the injury.
McCaffrey. Let me see. Yeah, it might be. Let me see. Where is it? Trying to see. Hold on.
Looks like you got Christian McCaffrey. I just can't. I don't want to cancel the recording of the podcast. So.
No. I know.
Okay.
I didn't get. It's not on Twitter. Maybe
we'll touch up on it in a minute. Finish talking about that Cat trade. So yeah, they basically upgrade from Julius Randle to Cat, which is phenomenal. And you sacrifice Dante DiVincenzo to get him. The only thing I don't like about this trade is that I don't know who your 8th man is. Is Precious Achua good enough to be the 8th man? Is Tyler Kolek, Landry Shamet, are they good enough? I don't know. I don't think so. I think you need to add a guy. And an injury, then you need to add 2 guys. But like I said, if you can stay healthy, if Tom Thibodeau can manage these minutes correctly, then, I don't know, this is a scary team. Like I said, 1 injury to the Celtics, and this is the favorite in the East.
The only thing I worry about with the Knicks, they don't have a bench. So, I mean, that bench is pretty weak.
They have so much versatility in that starting 5, like the Celtics. And
wait. Oh, sorry to interrupt. Yep, I got an update. Christian McCaffrey's dealing with Achilles tendons in both legs.
Oh.
Wow. That's the update. Yep, it's out now. I just got it. Yep.
Well, yeah. I mean, if McCaffrey's not on the field, the 49ers aren't a Super Bowl contender.
They might not even be a playoff team. Actually, no, that's too. They're a playoff team.
Yeah, I think they're probably a playoff team, but they're not a Super Bowl contender. That's how good Christian McCaffrey is.
Yeah,
a running threat, a receiving threat, just a grabbing
What a
threat.
shame. He is by far the best player. Well, besides like Mahomes, but not QB. He is by far the best player in the league.
I'd say so. I mean, Micah Parsons, Tyreek Hill will have arguments. Guys like that.
They don't impact their team like him.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think they do.
I mean, you can say Hill, but yeah, McCaffrey is like non-quarterback.
Yeah.
McCaffrey, Hill, Jefferson, Lamb, Micah Parsons. Who else? Saquon Barkley.
Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
TJ Watt.
TJ Watt, Max Crosby's really good. So, yeah, that's those guys. But, yeah, I'd agree with McCaffrey and Hill.
Well, yeah. I'm trying to think who
Nick
else.
Bosa.
Yes.
Nick Bosa and Fred Warner are huge, but McCaffrey's over them. That's simple. But, yeah, I think the Knicks, I like that trade for them. But, yeah, we'll get back to the NFL.
You're talking about the Knicks aspect, but I think that trade puts Minnesota maybe over the top in the West.
Really?
Because you get DiVincenzo, you already have Conley, you have Rob Dillingham, you have Naz Reid to stretch to 4. You can have Reid and Gobert out there because I think Naz Reid has great potential, and so do I. And now Anthony Edwards is the number 1 leader. So I think Minnesota and the Knicks benefit with this trade in both aspects, but like Minnesota's going to be a very dangerous team. You already get veteran Mike Conley there too. So it's like they got some vets. I think Kyle Anderson's still with them too. I could be wrong with that one.
No, he's gone.
He's gone?
But it looks like it's going to be Conley, Edwards, McDaniels, Reed, Gobert. And then off the bench, you got DiVincenzo, Alexander Walker, Julius Randle, Joe Ingles, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So
that's the best bench in basketball by far.
Are they a trade away, or are they going to run it with this team?
They can run it with this team.
They absolutely could, but what are they going to do?
The West is not as.
We'll see. We'll see. Could they flip? I don't know. Conley and Julius Randle for
who?
I don't. They might not need to, but yeah.
What? Jimmy Butler?
Maybe.
Ooh. Ooh. Edwards, Butler.
All right. So Edwards, McDaniels, and Gobert are locked in. And Reed.
I think Gobert stinks, but they're going to keep him.
He's huge to their defense.
Well,
and they traded Cat for a reason.
Yeah.
Edwards, McDaniels, Gobert, Reed. Those 4 are locked in.
Yeah.
So then between Conley, Randall, DiVincenzo, and Dillingham, then you also have Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
Yeah.
And Joe Ingles is a good guy.
So
you could either, I don't know what they're going to do, but you could either package some of that for a trade and bring in a 5th guy to complete that like staple.
Oh my God!
Rob Dillingham's going to grow. He's going to be really good.
So they have a 10 to 12 man rotation. They're making the finals. I didn't realize. I didn't realize that bench was that strong.
Yeah.
Who's beating that team? I had Dallas making the finals again. But
Really?
Yes, I did, because you got Klay Thompson, you got another veteran guy, you pair up with Kyrie and Luka, space to 4, another shooter. They got rid of Tim Hardaway Jr. They got Quentin Grimes now, I think Dallas too.
The Thunder and the Nuggets are going to be pretty good.
Westbrook, I don't know how it's going to be with Denver. I don't know. I got to see what Denver. But Minnesota, Julius Randle, who took the Knicks single-handedly to the playoffs a few years ago, is coming off the bench for Minnesota, who was already a contender last year.
Yeah.
That's scary. That's the best bench in basketball by far. That's not. And I'm a diehard Celtics fan. I think our bench is top 5. But that bench.
Oh yeah.
You can trade Randall and Conley and a couple of picks for Jimmy Butler.
That's what I'm saying. You could run it.
But is Jimmy Butler even that much better than Randall? Is he way better than Randall? I'm saying way better.
Yes? What?
I don't think he's way better. He's better, but is he way better than Julius Randle?
Yes. Jimmy Butler's a top 10 player in the league. Top 15 for sure.
Well, when he
Julius
plays...
Randle, is he top 40? I don't know. Probably top 50.
Well, this is the thing where I disagree with you here. Jimmy Butler's 35... What is he, 35 years old now? And Julius Randle's how old? 29?
Yeah, that's true. But the
age, if you're all in, I do that trade. I would put Jimmy Butler on that team. If you want to win a championship this year or next year, you put Jimmy Butler on that team. But if you're trying to have a 5-10 year window, I don't do a trade.
I agree with you. What my issue is where you said that Julius Randle isn't that much worse than Jimmy Butler.
I mean, in the playoffs, yes, he's way worse than Jimmy Butler. But if we're going by all-year player, no, he's not.
It's because Julius Randle actually sucks and his true identity comes out in the playoffs, and Jimmy Butler is actually really good, and his true mentality comes out in the playoffs.
But this is where I think you're wrong here a little bit. Julius Randle always had to be the number one guy for the Knicks. And I'm not even saying last year he was hurt. He was hurt a little bit, but when he made the playoffs with the Knicks against the Hawks, who else was good in that team besides Julius Randle? Okay, the game plan was to stop Julius Randle. He was the number one option. On Minnesota, what option is he? 7, 8? Actually, not 7, 8, but like 5 or 6? Okay.
Yeah. No, you have a great point. I agree.
Do you know how good Julius Randle would be as a 5 or 6 option?
No, I completely agree. I think Minnesota's the favorite in the West.
They are the favorite in the West.
I just didn't like when you said he's almost as good as Jimmy. That was like...
Well, I mean...
Right now...
If we're going by a few years ago, not even close.
I'm just talking
not even close.
No. Jimmy's still that guy.
But I'm saying right now, I mean, I don't think his Miles better. Yes, Jimmy Butler's a better basketball player, absolutely. But it's not Miles better.
All right.
The way they have it set up, because if Jimmy Butler's not that number one guy, he might take a back seat. I don't know.
Dude, Jimmy Butler can lead a team to the finals.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know if Julius Randle can lead a team to the playoffs anymore. He did. He led a really...
bad Knicks team.
I don't know if that's a really bad Knicks team. It was a really horrible conference, I'll say that. It was a really terrible conference.
They weren't really good, I'll tell you.
You're right.
They had... Because Tom Thibodeau played all those guys.
Didn't they get knocked out in 5 by Trae Young?
Yeah, but they were all close games. I mean, like this is where I'm disagreeing with you, right? Julius Randle averaged 25 points per game in 2022-2023 on the Knicks, and he was what was he? He was probably a 2 option behind Brunson.
Yeah.
Okay, now he's a 5 option. He's going from a number 2 to number 5 option. He was averaging 25 points per game as a number 2 option. And he got 10 rebounds and 4 assists per game. What's wrong with that? In last year, he averaged 24, 9, and 5 before he got injured. He was hurt with a shoulder injury. He was great. He was playing phenomenal, but then he got hurt. Like, that's what I'm trying to say to you. Like, Jimmy Butler had Eric Spoelstra, too. Best coach in basketball by far. I don't care what anyone says. He's the best coach in basketball. And Jimmy Butler had a bunch of dogs on his team. All right? He's a dog himself, okay? But, like, he's not miles better, in my opinion, right now. 2 years ago, absolutely. You can say whatever you want, but...
I think we can agree to disagree.
Like, Jimmy Butler is going to be 30... Hold on. I'm checking the... he just turned 35 years old, and Julius Randle is 29 years old. Why? Like...
No, I get why you wouldn't make the trade. I just really disagree. I think Jimmy Butler's miles ahead of him, but I get why you wouldn't make the trade. But... Yeah,
I mean,
I think we just kind of disagree, but I get that. It's
like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
I know what you're trying to say.
Because it was kind of easy to, like, cover Randle. Because if you're looking at it in the regular season, Randle is better in every statistical category over Jimmy Butler. In every category, he's better.
I know, but I don't care about the regular season.
No, I know what you mean. But, like, Randle never really had a legit playoff opportunity.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
So he does that's what I'm trying to say.
I got you.
Yes, I'd rather have Jimmy Butler, obviously.
I really do like his fit on this Timberwolves team, either as a trade